Hello and welcome to Defense India podcast. And before we start this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Defense India podcast, the podcast where we discuss matters related to India's internal security. And joining me on the podcast is, as always, our resident expert on India's internal security, Wiki Nanjappa. Wiki, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you so much.
So, Wiki, interesting things are happening all across India, but what has been very intriguing and also very dangerous is the situation that has happened in Manipur. So, it's more than a year now. To be honest, that the violence erupted in Manipur and the communal tension that has been taking place over there. For past few months, there was a relative peace in the state, although there were reports of few untoward incidents happening across the state, but still they were not as large scale as the things have escalated in the past few days. The Kuki Militants have been firing rockets. They are using drones. They are using snipers, and all those kind of things are now happening in Manipur. So first of all, I just want to get your insight about what has happened in these past few months. That these. To be very honest, there were few images that came out a few months back of these, Kuki militants trying to, stop army, and they were using very crude and very old weapons to intimidate the Indian army. But now the kind of sophistication that they have used, I read this news story that they used a rocket to attack this house of the ex-chief minister that was basically launched around 5 to 6 kilometers away from the hills, because his house is somewhere in the valley. So they used that kind of sophistication is being used by the militants. So how is this possible, and what has changed in this just few months with these elements?
In fact, I mean, if I look at the situation, Akash, I think it's going from bad to worse. I mean, just now, in 5 districts, the government of Manipur has lifted a ban on broadband internet.
Right.
In about 5 valley districts, but then, I mean, again, the order about Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi hotspot, those things remain in place. So exactly, the situation is not very conducive, and with each passing day, new demands are coming up. Now, what is that? United Naga Council has issued an ultimatum to the Home Minister Amit Shah for to redress those the arbitrary, what they call as arbitrary creation of 7 new districts in Manipur. They've now warned of an intense agitation if it is not resolved within 15 days. So I don't see anything much changing that way on the ground. And coming to the use of sophisticated weaponry, the way it started, with just street protests, and now precision, military-like hits, use of snipers and drones and strikes from all over the place. I mean, I wouldn't rule out that definitely these arms and ammunition could be coming in from Myanmar, and there's another foreign state which could be involved in this, because this social unrest is something that has persisted, I think, since May this year, and it is showing no signs of going down. Somewhere the talks are failing, Akash. Somewhere the talks are failing very, very badly. So which has been giving these people the fodder to go ahead and then just create violence. Because now I think the way I look at how it is all shaping up, it looks like it's gone beyond those demands and those reservations and etc. These subjects on which it started with. It's gone beyond that. Now it looks like a proper battle which is being fought by some other state, to kind of create unrest in the northeast.
Vicky, everything what we have discussed as of now, in terms of the kind of situation that is happening in Manipur, it is getting back to worse. But the thing is that you said that there might be some emanations that is coming from Myanmar, that is coming from some other foreign countries. But what is? But the question is that are the Indian security agencies not paying any heed to these kind of things? Because the Manipur police, did flag this thing off to the security forces few days back, in terms of that they are getting this kind of a help, they are getting this kind of a training, and they might use rockets to attack several places in Manipur. But the security forces did not pay any heed, and now they're paying the price. And we have seen these things over and over again, that when they overlook these kind of sensitive information coming in, then things go back to worse.
See, I mean, if you look at the, I mean, the Metis and Cookies have always been at loggerheads. The Metis always, who are a much more politically powerful class in Manipur. They've always looked at the Cookies as, outsiders, drug peddlers, etc. Those kind of things. So, see, that was one of the triggers, and it was quiet for a long time until it resurfaced, and then it went quiet again, and then I mean, it got worse again. Now the thing is now, Akash, the thing is recently, the BJP legislator, this Imo Singh, he's the son-in-law of the CM.
Right.
He had written to Amit Shah saying that the central forces, there are over 60,000 of them who have been deployed there in Manipur, and they remain mute spectators. That's what he had said. Now the problem out here is that using central forces is not so easy, especially at on one end, you're talking about revocation of ASPA in many places across Northeast, and on the other side, if you start using the central forces on civilians out there, because now these people, are still civilians in the technical sense there, despite all the kind of violence they are indulging in. I mean, that doesn't gel well, so the center and the state, they're still very hopeful that, they could resolve this through talks. But then, yeah, there were a lot of warning signs there, which, were kind of discredited, where, I mean, especially, when arms and ammunition are coming from outside, these are clearly not, locally procured ones. And, with so much happening on the borders and things like that, I think a little more cautious approach initially, when the whole thing was flagged, ought to have been taken, which was not done. And I think we're paying the price for that today.
But Vicky, over the period of time, both, a few of the parties that were involved in the initial violence, they came down and they sat on the table and they discussed this whole matter. But as far as reports are concerned, some of the cookie organizations were not willing to come on the table and have a discussion about maintaining peace in Manipur. So, is it that there are few elements that are hellbound to create this kind of a ruckus in Manipur? They don't want peace to return to the state.
Yeah, definitely. Seeing that, with each passing day, of course, there are these leaked audio clips which are coming out, where, the CM as well as the administration have to, keep coming in and clarifying that these were fake and doctored, etc. There was one which came out on August 8th, that also led to some amount of violence. And, by the time the clarification came out, the violence had intensified. And now there's a demand again, for the cookie land, which has resurfaced. That is one. So, every day there is, these new demands which are coming up, and, United Naga Council also demanding, the resolution regarding the creation of 7 new districts. So, with each passing day, it's a very challenging situation out there, Akash. That is one. And, they want to, as much as possible, try and resolve it through talks. And, I mean, in this bargain, I don't see anything very concrete coming up. So I think now it's time to a little bit up the game and stop this inflow of weapons, etc. And first rein in on all these sophisticated kind of weapons that are coming in, and the aerial attacks that are happening on villages, to stop all that. I think restoration of law and order should now be the priority, instead of going with talks and then trying to restore law and order, because at the end of the day it's the common man who's suffering out there.
Exactly, but Vicky, you said that the common man is the one who is suffering. But we have seen video clips coming in from Manipur, that how the locals are also helping these militant groups. They are stopping the army from entering villages. They are creating roadblocks. They are doing whatnot. They are doing sitting dharnas in the middle of the highway or the roads, which take the army to these areas where these militants are hiding. So then it becomes a lot of difficult situation for the army to handle these situations, because they cannot manhandle the normal citizens. Because then it becomes a different issue altogether. Though there is AFSPA, being imposed in Manipur, but then there are human rights activists who say that army is misusing these special powers that have been given to them in the valley in Manipur, and then the government has to step in. They have to calm down the enemy, and stuff like that keeps on happening. So how would peace return? In terms of, if the situation and if the locals don't help the army, and they will rather help the militants?
See, I wouldn't say that all locals are, at the battlefront at the moment. There are some locals, who have been, brainwashed. Like what we see, what we got to see in, Jammu and Kashmir also, because where army would find it extremely difficult to act, because what would happen is these militant groups or terrorist groups, they would put the locals in front. So it becomes a very difficult situation to deal with at that time. So now putting the locals in front looks like a very deliberate ploy, to keep pushing the forces back, and then make it look like some kind of a people's movement which is happening out there. So in those fronts, I would look at, as I said, it's an extremely tricky situation. Are peace talks, working out there? I highly doubt it. That is one. How do you crack the whip? Now that is another challenge. So without harming the locals, or getting too aggressive with the locals, just trying to go underneath, or beneath the surface, and then what do you say? Trying to nip the problem out there, rather than trying to do something out in the open. I think that will be the only way out, Akar, because you need to cut the source now, because looking at the recent spate of attacks and the kind of weaponry that has been used, I think it is a very frightening situation out there, and definitely these groups are acting at the behest of a lot of other elements from outside, like what we saw happening in Bangladesh also. There were a lot of debate on whether the deep state was involved. There has been an attempt across many countries to try and cause an unrest, and especially targeting democracies. That is the kind of thing. So I think first things first is that secure the borders, make sure that people are not coming from outside, make sure the arms and ammunition supply is completely stopped. And once these people are deprived of those funds and arms and ammunition, I think automatically I'll see that the violence, kind of goes down. It'll be a much more manageable level at that time.
And do you think that maybe the security forces were able to do that for the past few months, and then something, kind of leaked away, and things got out of hand? Or what do you think, that situation just became worse in just a few weeks?
See, I think initially I didn't think anybody was able to, analyze the magnitude of the problem and what it would turn out to be. Initially it was, felt that this could be very easily resolved through talks. And then, they kept on talking, and then, absolutely nothing came up. And then, each time you thought that the issue was resolved, and you see that, Manipur, the violence is coming under check, some new demand, keeps coming up. So, you cannot come to a to the talks table and keep reintroducing or introducing the new demands all the time, and that only goes on to show that at some level you don't want the issue to be resolved. Now the thing is the demand for a separate Kuki land, all these are I mean it has resurfaced. I'm not saying it's a new demand, it has kind of resurfaced out there.
Right.
And of course, political compulsions, and one side being the more politically, potent force, the other side being lesser, and the more, aggressive force. So a lot of things are there, Akash. The thing is, I don't see this problem going away so easily at the moment. There's a lot of work. I think it's going to be a very tough call that, do they want to continue with talks, or do they really want to crack down, really hard, and, just put an end to all this violence once and for all. So, there's that kind of, I would say that fear psychosis that is created. Again, tricky situation, but I think it is for the big boys in Delhi to decide on this now.
Exactly, it's to the big boys in Delhi to decide, but unfortunately, the political class somehow, remains vanished from Manipur. There has been, demands of people from locals in Manipur, from the political class in Manipur, for the Prime Minister to come and visit Manipur, see what is the situation over there. I don't understand why the Prime Minister is not going to Manipur to analyze the situation. Though Home Minister Amit Shah went there, he saw what is there, he held talks with various stakeholders over there, and we thought the situation might just turn into peaceful. It did for a few months, but it's back again at it. And I think it's high time that that the Prime Minister should pay a visit to Manipur and see what is the situation over there, and if possible, get the situation settled as soon as possible. Whatever means is necessary, to be honest, even if it's the talks or if it's a military operation that the government has to do in order to, get these militants flushed out from the hill areas. Something needs to be done for the people of Manipur. That is the most important thing. Well, that's all the time we have today on the podcast. Thank you very much, Vicky, for joining me, and thank you to all of you for watching.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you so much.